SPD 911 isn't just a show, it's your emergency response team for sterile processing. Having a diverse organization, people make the mistake in trying to make everyone the same.
SPD 911, we stand
Yeah, you're asking for a pay raise every year.
Heard the stories, seen the tears, raw and real, we face the fight, supporting each other, night and daylight.
Welcome back to SPD 911. Listen, we have us a show today. I'm your host, Dr. Jake Taylor Jacobs, President and CEO of SIPS Healthcare Solutions. And this show is all about tackling the toughest challenges in sterile processing. Whether you are on the front lines or making high-level executive decisions, we're here to help equip you with real solutions to rescue and elevate your SPD department. Each episode, I am joined by our illustrious Director of Clinical Compliance, Sharon Green Golden, a leader in compliance and regulatory standards, and our Director of Clinical Operations, Derek Jones, a specialist in operational efficiency and team development. Together, we break down some of the most critical issues in central sterile processing today and provide actionable strategies to help you stay ahead. Listen, like Sharon Green Golden says, listen. SPD 911 isn't just a show. It is your emergency response team for sterile processing. So if you want to participate live and ask questions, join the Executive Edge community. It is free, Free. And the only ways to engage with us by going to spd911.com. What is going on, team? What is going on? Tell me something good.
I'm getting ready for the Amy meeting. I've been reading the SG40 and I'm getting ready to go sit for a week in standards meetings with deep doctors and other technicians, companies. It is a conglomerate of doctors, users, scientists, all coming together to make standards. And so it'll be a deep week.
Y'all listen, SGG, y'all, she got that flow. She looking good. You know, she got the finger. Show them the finger waves, SGG. Listen, you can be in healthcare and still be swaggy. You look absolutely amazing. DJ, what's going on, brother?
Man, I'm just grateful for life, wealth, health. I'm also grateful for the informative meeting we had earlier about the latest and greatest things to come with SIPS. So, man, it's exciting. I'm excited, and man, I'm ready to go.
Man, listen, I'm excited too. Our team meeting, a huddle, was absolutely great, and I don't think a lot of people truly have an idea of what we're bringing to healthcare, not just sterile processing in general. And I'm excited. So SGG is going to go get the information we need to continue to make what we're building better. And you're in the field helping us out. We appreciate that. Everyone that's watching right now, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. And today's episode is going to be something a little crazy because it is something that we always talk about in silos, but we never address physically in person. And it is handling toxic culture. Oh my goodness. Handling toxic culture, you know, and I think all of us at some point has had to address, adapt, or get out of Dodge from toxic cultures.
Yes.
Before we get into the questions, I do want to ask SGG, DJ, you can take your time. Can you explain to me one of your examples of being in a toxic culture and what you had to do in order to navigate, move around, or fix the situation?
Go first, DJ.
On DJ, because last time, we got to address something real quick. The people that you get on here, you keep looking at yourself, looking all snazzy. You know, you change your angles here and there, make sure we can see all angles of your teeth. You know, we know you look good, brother. Let's hear from you this episode. Give us a time where you dealt with being in a toxic environment, what you did to navigate.
Well, unfortunately, in most sterile processing departments, because of the environment created, because of the ideal that they're just the stupid people in the basement, because most systems believe that it's so easy to just take and replace and put anyone in that department and expect positive outcomes. You often find yourself a part of a culture of people who don't understand the importance of chemistry, working with one another, bonding, relationships, and often there are no checks and balances on work-life balance and creating an environment where individuals keep their personal life outside of work. So, saying all of that, um, I find myself involved with a lot of personal drama, and you force these cliques and groups are created, and silos are created inside of these departments that starts with people with tenure who've been there longer than others, who seem to believe they have the best knowledge and understanding and best practices in achieving and doing the duties in sterile processing. And you start to see a group think established and divide amongst the team members. So that has shown me that there's tension. You see fights. You see a lot of arguing and bickering. You see these individuals establishing relationships with leadership, and which ultimately ends up working against everything that has to do with providing services for the patient. You know what I mean? So this does no good work for the patient or the hospital in a sense. It leads to heavy turnovers and the inability for us to create processes that work to sustain systems and sustain, productivity in departments. So it's just a bad, I don't know. I like to hear Ms. Golden on that. She gonna go a little deeper with it, but I gave the politically correct answer.
Hold on. Let me just address something really quick for the people that are always trying to figure out how Derek has this a way of wiggling out of answering tough questions. He has to be very careful with how he's communicating, because he is still in the field leading our leaders. So he doesn't want them to believe that he's specifically talking about them when he could be talking about something in his over decade of experience. So I'm letting him off the hook with that. What's up, SCG? You gonna give it to us straight? Come on.
Yes, come on. Help me out.
I've had a couple of toxic events in my tenure. I had one where the young lady liked to admire her work. So she would put trays together, and she was good at putting trays together, and then she would stack them. Tray 1, tray 2, tray 3. And she sit back and admire. I've done 20 trays. And I told her several times, the tray is not complete until it has gone through the sterilization process.
Yes.
Therefore, I need your tray on the sterilization load, and not at your station where you counting how much you've done. And we've had several discussions. I tried to mentor her. I tried to counsel her, and she just went off on me one day. I mean, she just literally just went off. And if you know my personality, I can go wherever you're going. Wherever the road leads, if I'm on it, I will drive it. So I literally had to tell her, get off the floor, go and clock yourself out. Go home to further notice. She's like, further notice? Yeah. When I or HR calls you, then you can come back. Because she had literally turned the department into a war zone, because now it was me against her. And when it's me against her, the other team members, I have to take sides. Everybody got to decide what team they're on. So now we've got people who are saying, yeah, that's right. She shouldn't be stacking up them trays. And you got the other people saying, what's the problem with stacking up the tray? She doing her work. So, I had to get her out of my department. So I called HR and said, listen, I got a mutiny going on.
A mutiny? Did you call like this?
With my back against the wall. Wait a minute, my back against the wall, watching both flanks. And sends her home until we could work this out. I don't know what it is about a department that is so small that we're supposed to be like-minded about the work that we do, that we have the most confusion. Mary looked at me funny when I came to work this morning, and now we're not talking. Mary wasn't even looking at you. She didn't even realize you was at work. And so now you've got confusion. Lucy not talking to Mary because Lucy your friend, and you told her Mary looked at you wrong. The little stuff that goes on in sterile processing. I've had toxic to the point of someone not wanting to be told what to do. When they have a job description in their locker, in their folder,
yeah,
I didn't ask you to do something that wasn't part of your job. You were not doing your work, and I came and said, could you put the tray together? And now we're having a full-blown conversation about why Dr. Jake not putting the tray together. This has nothing to do with Dr. Jake. This is all about you. And having to get people to understand you accept the consequences for your actions. And I can't have this toxicity where you got a team and I got a team. Yeah. I am Charles in charge. And because I'm Charles in charge, there's only one team, only one coach. We may have some assistant coaches, of which you're not one. And so I'm going to need for you to realize you're the team player. So, Dr. Jake, I've had to use things like I had a confrontation and the girl was all in my face to the point that she told me, we were talking about a report had been made. Nobody gave any names, just the report was made. When you're guilty, you're guilty. A hit dog will holler.
That's right. Every time.
Dog is hollering.
Every time.
And she's hollering, and I'm saying, no. All I did was stood in the middle of the floor and said, we have a problem with indicators in the tray. I didn't call no names. The hit dog hollered and goes on to say, snitches get stitches.
Oh my goodness. No way.
Yes. Snitches get stitches. Now, I had never heard that before because I'm
not in the britches, though. They're not in the britches.
I was like, snitches get stitches? What are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, I'm telling you. Listen, her neck is moving, head moving. And I'm like, we're talking about indicators in the tray. Did nobody call your name? And so I had to stop and say, listen, team, if I stand in the middle of the floor and I'm doing a group chat and I say the window was left open, if you left the window open, don't say nothing. Just be quiet. Because no one will know you're the dog that got hit until you open your mouth. So if you learn to just be quiet, take it in, listen, and do better, no one has to know you're the one that doesn't know what you're doing. But it's hard because my people come from different areas of the world and different environments. I've had them tell me, you can take the girl out the hood, but you can't take the hood. I'm like, we in sterile processing. We're not in the hood. We in SPD doing instruments to take.
We are not on your block, ma'am.
Listen, you mean about the girl in the hood and the hood and the girl? Listen, hood girl, you better put the hood in your locker.
Yeah.
I can go there with you. So I had to tell them something that Derek alluded to. I would say, when you drive into the parking lot of the hospital, take your personal life and put it in your glove compartment. Lock your glove compartment because stuff come out. Lock your glove compartment.
Gotta lock it.
Get out of the car. you're now going to put on wherever it is we work, J.
right.
Joe's Hospital. And as you come into the door of J. Joe's Hospital and you clock in, all I want to hear is SPD, trays, and processes. I don't want to hear nothing about Mary looked at you funny. You thought you were supposed to go to lunch at 11 when you know the schedule says your lunch is 12, but you hungry today. That has nothing to do with me. You should have ate something before you came to work. So I had to put people in places to where they understood that I would do whatever was necessary not to have a toxic environment, because we can't work if we're busy fighting and communicating about stuff that has nothing to do with a tray.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? And so, but I will tell you that it is hard. And I know, Dr. Jake, you have the correct way to talk about it, that we have to deal with toxicity. I tell you this, I have brought people into the office. I'm not a loose lip person, but if you tell me something, I'm going to do what is necessary to get to the bottom of it. So if Derek tells me that Dr. Jake said we're not doing it right, I'm bringing you and Derek and Dr. Jake into the office, and I'm standing in the middle. And this is what I'm going to do. Derek, tell Dr. Jake what you told me, because I want Dr. Jake to hear what Derek.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
See what I'm saying? I'm not going to say what I heard. No, Derek, tell Dr. Jake what you told me. And what I found is that we didn't have to have so many in-office meetings because people stopped telling me stuff because they knew I was going to bring everybody together. I also had and I'm old school, so you all understand this. I learned, I didn't have a Dr. Jake to mentor me, but I got this picture on my wall and I put it up in my office, and it's a picture of a lion and a gazelle. It's a gorgeous picture, has words under the bottom of it. And when people could not understand why Derek was doing what he was doing and Dr. Jake was doing what he was doing, I would bring them into the office and sit them down and say, look at the picture on the wall. And you all, the picture on the wall is a picture of a lion and a gazelle. And the story goes, every morning in Africa, a lion gets up running. He must run faster than the gazelle or starve. Every morning in Africa, a gazelle gets up running. He must outrun the lion or be eaten. So here in our department, be you the gazelle or the lion, when you come to work in the morning, be running.
Get to running. So that's a great way to actually start the show. SGG is she said, I don't care if you're the lion, and I don't care if you are the gazelle.
Be running.
You got to get to running.
Yes.
That's right. Before we get started and get knee deep into the show, we do have to give the shout out to our podcast, Bread to Lead. Our podcast, Bread to Lead, on all categories on Apple has just ranked top 16 in the entire country of the United States of America in all categories. And in the business category, we are in the top 3.
All right.
We're in the top 3 of all business categories. So y'all, if you want to learn some information, and if you are excited about learning how to become a leader, we have some crazy, amazing things that are coming up. And we're putting healthcare, we're putting leadership on a global map. So we're super excited about that. And then also with that, y'all go and rank SPD 911 on the Apple podcast so that we can get SPD 911 up on those charts too as well. So when you talked about snitches get stitches, first and foremost, SGG, I did love the dynamic that you brought to the table of I'm not about to be in your mess. I tell you what, I'm going to bring you to this table, and I'm going to bring you to the table, and I'm going to tell you what they said, and I'm going to tell you what he said, and I want y'all to figure out which one of those are the truth. And it reminds me of the story of King Solomon, because King Solomon had the same issue with the two ladies who were claiming that the baby was theirs.
Yes.
So he brought both of the ladies together and said, I'm not just listening to one, and I'm not listening to you. I'm looking at your actions of how we're dealing with this, because the hit dog gonna holler every single time. So I am excited that you brought that up, and it brings me to the very first scenario. If some of you are watching, you're new to the show, We look at scenarios that are happening in sterile processing departments all over the country. And if you want to actually give us access to answering your scenario and answering your question directly, go to SPD911.com to ensure that your information is indeed answered, or your question or your scenario is answered. So here's a scenario of cutting corners. All right. DJ, SGG, a tech notices coworkers skipping steps in decontam and assembly to save time. Instruments are being rushed through without proper inspection, and management seems to look the other way as long as the tray gets upstairs fast. The tech is torn between speaking up and not wanting to be seen as the snitch. Question: how do I handle coworkers who constantly cut corners when I am not the manager or the leader? Because I think that when we all communicate quite naturally, we communicate from a position of authority. So my question to you, if you are the technician, you feel like you're the lowest person on the totem pole, but you know for a fact that people keep skipping steps, and you believe that your leadership are okay with it, they're okay with the steps being skipped as long as they're not being screamed at the OR. What is that person supposed to do?
Well, I'll start off by telling you, because you put it this way. If I see that technicians are skipping steps, as a technician working with a team, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say, Derek, you skipped a step. We're going to have a one-on-one because we're adults here. Derek, I don't know if you realize it, but you skipped a step. I'm going to make that clear to him. He's going to say, yeah, okay, I didn't know, whatever the lie is, whatever he's going to tell me. But I'm going to make sure that I had a conversation with Derek. Now, Derek continues to skip the steps because I'm not leadership. And Derek says, I don't have to listen to her no way. Then, because I don't want to necessarily be a snitch, and because I see that the leadership knows, is watching, and has seen this. Now, this is if the leadership has seen this, you all, then I'm going to use the compliance number, and I'm going to put it on the compliance. I'm going to say you need to 1-800, whatever the number is at your little hospital. Every hospital has a compliance officer.
That's right. That's true.
I'm going to call compliance. It's supposed to be anonymous, so I'm not going to call and tell them my name and number, but I'm going to call and say, we have a tendency to skip steps in SPD. You might want to come on down and check us out. Because when you go through the compliance and the compliance is doing its job, they will come and ask the questions that you wanted to ask. They don't know who gave them the information. That puts your leadership on the spot to now go and ascertain if it's true or not. And if it's true, to make it right. Now, that's what you do when you know that the management is aware of the shortcuts. Okay. When management is not aware of the shortcuts, okay, and this is going on now, you have to be sure, Dr. Jake, that management knows. That's right. A lot of times management really may not know. All managers nowadays, and Derek can talk about this, do not spend time on the floor like I did. I'm old school. So if you saw me standing behind you, you knew you was doing something wrong. If you saw that my arm was touching yours, you knew it was on. Because I had seen something that wasn't right, and I'm now here to watch your process and to talk to you about your process. The other thing I did do as I got more learned is I actually had my office door, if I was not in it, was closed. You could slip a paper under my door all day long and say they out here eating chicken on the floor. I'm coming. I'm going to pick the paper up. See they eating chicken, I'm coming out to take care of it. You didn't have to put your name on it. You didn't have to say who it was. You just had to say, we're skipping steps at the sterilizer. I'm coming out to ascertain what is going on. It's a delicate balance, I think, Dr. Jake, that you have to make with people, because sometimes what you are told, if you allow people to tell it to you, is not always the truth, some of it is fake news. It's not always facts. So I wanted people to slip the paper under the door and let me go and do my own, you know my word, investigation.
That's right. And go ahead, DJ. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Well,
No.
well, I was just gonna say I agree with SGG, because when you think about it, we are all adults. Now, I should be able to bring to you that, hey, you're doing the process wrong. I mean, if I can't have that working relationship with my coworkers, then at some point, the leadership is going to have to get involved, because I should be able to, or Miss Golden should be able to come to me and say, hey, Derek, you're messing up a process.
Right,
That's
right.
the first thing. Unfortunately, I can tell you that the best thing to do is to always say, hey, you need to go and tell on this person. But however,
snitches get stitches, DJ. Snitches get stitches.
And no one wants to be the one involved in the toxicity in the workplace. So we know that. So I agree that there needs to be some sort of a drop box, or a line that you can contact, or a way that you can communicate to your upline leader, whether it's a supervisor or a lead tech, via a drop box where you can drop a note, concerns, and say, hey, I think we need to re-educate some of our people on the way they assemble a set. You know what I mean? That'll be a quick, easy way to start and get that leader out to that floor to investigate the concerns made, with exposing yourself and creating a hazardous work environment for yourself.
See, and what I would say, if you all are interested in figuring out what technology that we will recommend that actually prevents that problem from happening, I would ask you to, schedule some time with us. Go to sipshealthcare.com, because we actually have a solution that completely stops that and allows for, anonymous, I guess you could say, tips or levels of accountability to ensure the quality there. And I actually wanted to present something, because what came to mind, I don't remember if you, DJ, said it or SGG said it, when y'all mentioned sometimes your manager doesn't know. I think that was you, SGG, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I want to bring us to a word that I thought I made up, but I feel like I said it so much that now AI has picked it up. And it's called assumicide. And it refers to the destructive nature of making false assumptions, which can harm relationships, businesses, and opportunities by leading to conflict, misunderstanding, and missed potential. It involves making founded assumptions about others' motives, beliefs, or the state of business, then acting on those assumptions as if they're what?
Truths.
Facts. To combat assumicide, one should listen actively, ask clarifying questions, seek transparency, and avoid jumping to what, y'all?
Conclusions.
Man, I done seen so many people jump on the conclusion bus and wonder how they in Timbuktu. Okay? There are so many assumptions that are had on so many levels, just regardless of sterile processing, that people may have heard a murmur from someone who's really just disgruntled but don't know the truth. They have an assumption of how somebody got into position, have an assumption of how somebody's maneuvering and moving around. They have these assumptions, and then they move on assumptions, expecting them to be facts or projecting them to be facts to people who would take their words as truth. And what happens is those assumptions get your butt kicked out of opportunities when the person finds out that you are the one who spread the lies or the assumptions and created this dissension amongst your staff, your organization, your team, or your peers. And you find yourself wondering why you can't get promotions in areas you want to. You find yourself wondering why you can never get the director role. You find yourself wondering why you can never get the consultant gig that you always dreamt to have. And you're thinking that, hey, it's because people are overlooking your qualifications, when in fact, the industry is small, the circle is small, the who's who and who has the ability to make decisions is small, and the word that you cause disruption from assumption doesn't make anyone want to bring you into their circle. So this is why I would tell anybody, even if that young lady was correct in that she believes the managers are just saying yes to getting the stuff upstairs, even if she is correct, if you do not have things validated in facts, it will change your perspective. And when your perspective changes, your opportunity for correction and better observation or interpretation of what's going on now gets closed off, and you have no opportunity to come back from it. So what I would suggest for anybody, if you're feeling a way, go and get the facts before you open your mouth to even report anything. Because as SGG said, it's so crazy running this organization. I'm CC'd and BCC'd on everybody's email throughout the entire company, our company. And when something comes up, they're like, Dr. Jake, I told you, I CC'd you, I BC'd you, and you just acting like you didn't see it. I'm like, you know what? I get 200 emails a day, along with the things I have to accomplish to move the company forward. If you think that I thought so little of you that I would not address a major concern that you BCC'd me in and didn't verbally come and communicate with me, you're absolutely crazy out of your mind. And these are the problems that typically are had. We assume that leadership doesn't want to know the facts. We assume that people are tight-knit and keeping you out of situations. But the moment you start to think in that manner, that's how you view the world.
Yes, yes. And that's why I always say investigation is key. I got to go investigate for myself. I can't just take what you said and run with it.
I like that.
Because sometimes you're skewed. Sometimes in the investigation, I will find that you are the problem.
Oh,
You're pulling up other people. And when I got through with the investigation, you weren't doing what you were supposed to do.
That's right.
And the reason why you were able to communicate so boldly that people weren't doing their job right.
That's right.
Is because you didn't know you was doing yours wrong.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hey, listen, what we say, investigation before escalation. I like that. I like that. I like that. Investigation before escalation. Now, let me tell you this for this young lady that chimed in. If you are right, this is what I will always tell people. If you're going to criticize anyone, you can't be the lowest person on a totem pole on production. You got to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
The only way you can levy yourself to truly drive change is that you have to be the person that is outproducing and outperforming anyone. For an example, you can't call the best player on the team a snitch if they're the best player on the team. Now that's accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Snitching is if you and I both cut corners. Ooh.
Oh, okay.
And now you and me mad. We're no longer friends.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want to tell the upline about what you're not doing when in fact,
all right,
you used to do it too. And so if you're going to be the judge, the jury, the police, just remember, people can see. I got the compass right here. No, I'm gonna do this right here. I got y'all. People can see what you was doing too. They can see what you was doing too. So be careful where your telescope go, because it may come and scope your mess.
Right.
And so in order for us to truly bring about high standards of excellence inside of our departments, you have to ensure that you're not casting the first stone when you got a lot of stones that need to be passed at you. When there's a moment of correction and you want to change your ways and you have a history of underperforming and cutting corners and you don't want to do that anymore, you have to go directly to the person that you feel like are cutting corners. And you have to say, hey, I see you cutting corners. I know I used to do it too. That was before I was aware that we were almost killing patients. So I want you to hold me accountable as I hold you accountable, and let's do this dance together. Sometimes the best change is directly to the person you want to tell on.
Yes.
Okay. So that's where we're gonna listen. Before escalation, we need investigation. And
Yeah.
you need to be able to talk and have a conversation. Well, I feel like a rapper
All right.
today. All right. So this takes us to reporting unsafe practices. Here's the situation. An SPD employee repeatedly sees unsafe practices. Oh, wait, no, that ain't it. We got to go to confronting the supervisor. It was the same one. Confronting the supervisor. Here's the situation. Here's a brother right here. A supervisor consistently ignores manufacturer IFUs. Oh, just grinding your gears, SGG. And they're pressuring the team to take shortcuts to keep up with OR demand. And a tech who knows the standards, that reads the standards. And right here it says that watches SGG's content. He feels conflicted. He follows orders and compromise patient safety or confront leadership and risk conflict. How do I confront a supervisor who is willfully ignoring IFUs and threatening my position if I don't get in line?
You want to go first, Derek?
Oh, it's simple. I'm stopping the line. I'm just gonna stop the line. I won't do another job. I won't perform another task or work. Everything stopped. Carry on, Ms. Golden.
Okay. So I believe that you as adults, you have to give me the benefit of the doubt. And you must come to me and say, Ms. Golden, did you realize the IFU said soak 5 minutes and we're only doing 20 seconds?
That's right.
And here it is right here, Ms. Golden. Right here on the page says 5 minutes. And we're only doing 5 seconds. I just wanted to be sure because I didn't know if you really knew because we're doing so many instruments that this one says 5 minutes. Now, after I've done that, and I know Ms. Gold, I said it in English that we all understand the language, and she looked at me and said, oh, yes, okay, all right, because that's what I'm going to do as a supervisor. I'm not going to tell you I didn't know. I mean, I would be like, I didn't know that. And I'm coming out on the floor and going to change everything right away. But some people aren't going to do it. So once you have confronted peacefully your leadership and they insist on harming our patients by not following the IFU, then I'm riding the chain. I'm escalating. I'm escalating the next step up.
This is what I was saying. A lot of people immediately get negative when something just takes a conversation. What happens is it goes back to assumicide. You've had a conversation with someone who doesn't really like the someone. And so now you think you've taken their truth, which is not a truth, it's not a fact. You've taken their truth as a fact. Now you're assuming that your leader is purposely cutting corners. Now what happens? Now you create conflict from a truth that's not a fact to try to get your leader reprimanded. The leader is standing on the fact that they just didn't know. You're reporting to their upline that they're purposely skipping things and they know what to do. That now becomes a situation that you're in because you're not leaving immediately. Say both of you, say your supervisor gets written up. It's their first write-up in 10 years. They're not leaving the position. But unfortunately, as much as we want to go, things are supposed to be, not said. You're not supposed to know who knows and who says something.
They know.
Eventually, they find out and they know. And you're wondering why you're getting the crappy shifts. You're wondering why you're not getting promoted. And you can say it's unfair and unjust. But now, as a human, that person says you lied on me and didn't come get the facts. So this is what I will always tell anybody. Address the person first. Have enough common decency as a human
Mhm.
to assume that they don't know. And this is how you do not address it. This is how you don't do it. You don't say, here's the code and you're skipping steps and you need to. That's not how you're going to get the job done.
Okay.
See, sometimes you got to be sweet like butter. You got to come up and say, hey, SGG, I know you have a lot of stuff on your plate. I can't imagine you being a supervisor and being in this environment, so many moving parts. And a lot of times, every technician or leader has a specialty. But I wanted you to know I've been reading Amy's standards to make sure I can be a support to you. And I noticed here that we're soaking 20 seconds. And I know you got a lot of pressure with the OR, but it says here we're supposed to do a 5 minutes. Is there anything I could do to help be able to make sure everyone's doing it 5 minutes and not 20 seconds? See, if I approach it like that, in most cases, they'll say, man, I'm so sorry. I was just, they'll confess, they'll break it down. But if I had that moment of interaction and they're still saying, I see what it say, but I said, now you go the next step. Because, Manager Booty Boo has literally told you, get out my face, and I'm the ultimate leader. And I can literally say out of my mouth as a fact, they told me that they're purposely disregarding what's going on. Now, in most cases, if I bring it to people, most leaders will never tell you they're overwhelmed. They'll never tell you they feel out of the water. They'll never tell you that they feel like they've bit off more than they can chew. And a lot of times we make assumptions that we could do a better job when we've never been in a position in the first place. And so in that, go and be an aid and a support, because what happens if you are an aid and a support and that leader finds you to be an asset that's going to cover their back, you're going to find yourself in favor of a next position, of a hire, of a recommendation, because you're somebody that can have somebody's back when they don't know that they need someone to have it. Because in this space that we're in, it's so cutthroat. People are scared that people are making moves just to take their job. So if you can be an adversary, right?
Mm-hmm. Adversary.
That's against or fight. It's against or fighting with them.
That's
if you
forward.
become the adversary to the person that's supposed to be your leader, you're never going to get ahead that way. It doesn't work. And guess what? Here's a little catch. Here's a little catch. If you want to be the compliance police, go get with a consulting company, go join the public health, go get with JCO, and go police all day. But if you want to work in a team environment, you got to find a way to have these hard communications, because the more you have somebody's back, the more you're going to see. And here's lastly, SGG, I got something here. Don't worry about who gets the credit for the finding.
True.
Don't worry about it.
True. That part is true. But I want to say this. I think that when I tell you that I go to the person personally, that I believe all what you said. But the standard was always set in my department that I support my team.
That's right.
And especially for decontam.
That's good.
The rule in my decontam was, I will never, ever ask you to clean something fast. I had shirts made that said, we can't clean fast, don't ask. And that was for my physicians and my OR team.
Okay.
Put us in the position to have to make an integrity choice and shortcut.
That's right.
So and this is for me, my team knew that if they were somebody was doing something and having a shortcut, they could come and tell me and they didn't have to tell me what. They just had to say, I don't believe we're cleaning the Loman forceps correctly, the clamps correctly. And then now it was my job. Yeah, I didn't have an educator. It was my job to do the research and to investigate how to clean the Loman clamps, and to come to the team and say, we're having a class today briefly on the cleaning of the Loman clamps.
Right.
And put it out there to everybody at the same time. Because our underlying job is to protect the patient.
That's right.
And I want to say this. I told people I'm not there for the feelings. I'm not there for you to love me. I'm okay. Tell me what is going on that's wrong. Because at the end of the day, we have the ability to impact the patient's life. It could be mine. I seem to be the patient a lot. So I need for us to do it right every time. We don't have, I can't make y'all don't do no shortcuts. Dr. J, when I had my back surgery, I was scheduled and they delayed me twice. And they had to redo those trays twice. And my team was upset and excited because they knew the trays were eventually for me. But the one thing they stood on was Miss Golden said, do it right. She don't care. She don't care if she don't get to go to 3:00. Make sure that you clean those trays correctly both times for the patients ahead of her and for her, because she doesn't want an infection and she doesn't want them to have one.
Yeah.
But I think that when your team understands, Dr. J, that you stand on right, they don't have such a problem bringing wrong to you. And like you said, it's when you skirt the deal by being willing to go along with a shortcut. They knew I was never willing to go along with nothing that was wrong. Ever. Don't come to me with the shortcut.
And I think that SGG, that's what separated you as a leader. That's why you are what I would consider the golden standard, pun intended, when it comes to holding people accountable to the standards. But in this situation, we're dealing with a supervisor. That's right. And so you don't know the space that supervisor's in. You don't know the leverage that they may have with, getting you written up or whatever. So sometimes in that position, when you're not in an environment that is as giving to doing right as your environment, you kind of have to find a way to become the conciliary, if you will, of standards to the whisper of standards to the supervisor and become their sidekick if you truly want to ensure the patient's well. And then eventually what will happen is the supervisors will be called to a meeting, having to talk about all the standards and all the stuff because they're so good. And then that moment is going to be shown that they're not the ones that are actually doing and holding people accountable. The name of the person that's holding that person accountable will eventually have to get shown, and then you'll be edified in the right time when that supervisor can't be able to recall those standards. So sometimes it's delayed gratification, but in most cases, when people are great at standards, they don't realize a supervisor may be exceptional at operational workflow. So if it depends on what their upline kind of values, and then you find your way to navigate. So again, SGG, this goes back to show how much you practice what you preached when you were running the show, which made it easier for your team to come to you with hard stuff, even if they felt like you were wrong, because that's the standard. But if you're putting yourself in a position to where you're like, hey, I got your back, I do whatever. If you want to really make sure the patient's good, sometimes you got to give up the credit and tell somebody in their ear, and then just know that your time is going to come, because sometimes you have to move through people in order for you to be elevated. And that's where, the line is drawn. And that's where that emotional intelligence is needed so that you can be able to process where you are. And then here's the last thing that most people will never tell you. There are some environments that are so toxic, you just have to leave. You just, there's no number of whispering and talking and, getting someone to do right. Sometimes there are some situations where your integrity has to be so strong that you're not willing to be in an environment that is going to not uphold the standards for patient safety. And in that moment, regardless of pay or not, you have to be willing to stand. And it'll be much more impactful if you were the top producer, that leads. It's
Absolutely.
not go. Yeah, what you say, SCG?
Absolutely. When I took this, I finally learned that, Dr. Jake. And when I took this last position that I had, the last thing I said to the people interviewing me was, if you want somebody that's a yes person, that's not going to stand on the standards and the rules, I'm not the one for this job. My integrity will not be compromised. I will tell if we're not going to do it right.
That's
So
right.
if I say we're doing it wrong and you insist that we continue doing it wrong, then I can't work here. And as you say, Dr. Jake, as I leave here because of my integrity, I will be telling.
That's right.
Man, what I'll say to that
DJ.
is, man, you hit something which was poignant for me. I believe the cream always rises to the top. So I believe that I'm going to build everyone around me. I'm going to show, eventually everyone will see who's bringing the great ideas, who's performing, and the lack thereof, and the people who are not performing at the standard and the level, and the high level.
That's right.
They would eventually be exposed when, like you mentioned, Doc, going to meetings, when it's time to talk about processes, when it's time to speak on the steps. If you don't take the time to learn those additional steps on how to read an IFU, right? If you don't learn those things on how to find out the information needed, eventually the high performer will stand out above that supervisor who is not willing to take the necessary steps to get the correct information to his team. So I've always been one to not go in to outshine or to try to show up my immediate supervisor or leader just because I may know a little more. But my effort was always to try to build and show that I can be a team player in the event, and just wait my opportunity, because it'll come. So, and that's for all the leaders out there who thinks, okay, if I can get rid of Booty Boo, get him out of here because he's tearing up the place, that may be my chance to become a supervisor. That's really not a good approach. You know what I mean? It's really not a good approach. It's about building a team and doing all you can do and focusing on positive outcomes and not putting too much energy on how to get rid of the person or the problematic person.
And I'll add to that, because how you get on the throne is how you be taken down.
Yes, I agree. That's fire there.
That was probably one of my best quotes right there.
That was hard.
That was off the top. That came from the spirit. How you get on the throne is how you'll be taken down. If you get it through manipulation and deceit, that's how you'll be taken down. If you get it through causing harm or trying to upstage somebody, that's how you'll be taken down. However, if you get it through integrity and building up the people around you, you'll be elevated before you're taking off something, because you won the people over through integrity and doing the right thing. And I actually wrote something down here, and I got a question I want to pose to you all. Say you have a friend, or you're dating. Let's go back to dating, and you like this person. You invite them to your house and such. Do you just give them the keys the moment that you like them to your house?
No.
You see how y'all both was like, absolutely not. In order to get in someone's house, you have to navigate through their access.
All right.
Well, I'm teaching.
Sit down.
It's this new vest, right? In order to get into someone's house, their authority, their leverage, their influence, you have to navigate their access. You got to navigate through them to get their access. And so what I mean by that is, a lot of us try to steal the keys and take the keys. Last I heard, that's like robbery or your burglary. That's breaking and entry to get in places that you're unwarranted. They don't want you there. And so when you're thinking about leadership from the front line, the lowest level, to the top line, leadership is never about going through nothing but open doors.
Right.
Every door you navigate, you have to be let in. Every door.
Yes.
And so if I want to get in the door to create change, I have to befriend or have some type of camaraderie, or I have to be invited into this door or this space by the person who occupies it. It's only then will they say, hey, you've been coming a while. I trust you in my house. You know, we have some stuff going on, and you still don't get the key.
I was gonna say, you still don't get my keys.
You just get invited over and over again. You get invited. But then when you start getting serious, you feel like they got your back. Y'all are actually talking about doing some longevity things together in the organization. They don't feel like you're going to shake. Then eventually you'll get a key at some point. And so what I'm trying to say is a lot of us are trying to take keys when you aren't invited in.
Mm-hmm.
You're not invited. And you can't get through somebody's door by causing commotion outside. That's not how you do it. You got to be able to navigate. And so that you can be able to elevate, navigate to elevate. That's the name of the game. Not being manipulative, but being influential. If I can influence you to do the right thing, that's not being manipulative. If I'm manipulating you to get only what I want, but it harms you, that is harmful. That's not a place you want to go. So you want to make sure if this person is not operating right, I have to assume maybe they weren't trained right. Maybe something, maybe they didn't have an SGG and SPD911 to tell them what to do. Maybe they were never told to go to Amy or HSPA or all these conferences that you're a part of. Mm-hmm. So I want to bring you good tides. I want to bring you good tidings. I want to bring you good information. Let me bring a value add to your home. As a supervisor, that's their home. As a manager, that's their home. As a director, that's their home. You are visiting. So I want to be able to give you value there so that you can be able to do it and you can take your organization to the next level. Listen, it's never easy in navigating. And the higher you get in leadership, the more you have to move around and try to get something done through people, because there's always gatekeepers. There's always shut and locked doors. There's always all these things. So you have to figure out a way how to get along to get along. Yeah. If you can't get along, it doesn't matter how right you are. You're never going to get to the place that you dream to get to. So you got to kind of work your way around so that you can do it. So before we end the show, SGG,
Wait
DJ.
a minute.
Okay, here we go.
I think Miss Karen Sherry Brown asked a good question. You got to read.
She said, "Can you take back the keys that were already given out?" Yeah, you can. It's called change the lock. Yeah, change the lock, baby. Change the lock.
Restraining order. That's what it's called.
Restraining order. Call compliance. Get them up out of there. Fire.
Yeah.
Okay. But let me tell you, I did want to say this now that she brought this up. Everybody is always so finicky about what you want from me. Mm-hmm. Like, why are you being so nice? Because everyone has some type of motive.
Yes. An agenda.
And I don't know if that agenda includes me or it moves me. So this is why there's so many touch points and trust issues, because there's a lot of leaders that got into that place because they did that. And there's other leaders that saw that happen and they're scared to know to share with you and be vulnerable about what they don't know, because it'll be exploited later. So when you figure out that a lot of leaders are really insecure, as well as myself, there are areas about myself I'm extremely careful and closed off on because of affliction that have happened to me and things that I've seen happen to others that are extremely giving to position opportunities. So this is why you have to learn how to navigate these things. And this is why emotional intelligence through experience allows for you to read people and connect with people. And at the end of the day, people that trust you know that you care about them. I care about your position. I care about your name. I care about your integrity. I care about your character. I care about your authority. Now, your children and stuff, I may not care a lot about because I don't know them like that. But while you're at this job, I care so much about you that I'm going to make sure that you look good, because in default, people will see how you elevate someone and they'll want to elevate you in the same manner that you elevate.
Amen.
These are all the things that we have to consider as we do it. DJ, you know what we do at the end of the show? We always give them one good nugget that we want to be able to give them for those that are navigating these tough waters, being inside of sterile processing, wanting to be great, wanting to do better. And based on these scenarios, they're really trying to figure out how to navigate through. So what would you tell that non-leader that's trying to find a way to become the best thing that they can, but they're in environments that they can't really make the direct change that they want, and they don't really have the opportunity to just leave to go to another hospital because there's not a lot of options where they are? What would you tell that person?
I would tell that individual to, number one, stand on integrity. Okay, always have integrity. Understand that many things, not only your career, but a person's lives can be compromised by circumventing the processes or cheating the steps in the process. And the biggest nugget I've learned today, or that I believe we've all shared, is just have the ability to approach a leader non-confrontational. Bring your facts, investigate the information, bring supporting information to help you deliver your message, but deliver it in a way that is with less confrontation, more informative, and a way of communicating a solution to resolve the problem that supervisor may not be seeing because he's so inundated with day-to-day duties that leaderships have to be responsible for in your average SPD. So integrity and positive and effective communication will help you win so many things and challenges that you experience throughout your day.
I love that. I love that. And
Yep.
SGG, give me something to a manager, that's looking to navigate. They want to speak up. They're newly managers, so they don't want to shake the boat, but they do want to create a new department where everyone's held accountable. What are some steps that they can take in your last kind of words to help them move along?
I think some steps that you can take, managers, is to, number one, you have to work on gaining the trust of the team. And you gain the trust of the team by maintaining your integrity. What you said, you said. What you say, you say. Walk the talk. I think that my team always understood that if they did things the way I said to do it, according to what I knew the standards, the IFU best practice to be, that I would be standing at the front of the line, defending whatever happened. Now, we didn't want things to happen, but the first thing you have to do with human beings is gain their trust. And the one best way, and it's my word, I say it all the time, with integrity, Dr. Jake put it out there, you must investigate before you escalate. Do not take what people tell you and go running with the water hose. There may not be a fire. First, ascertain that there is a fire. And then ascertain, is the water hose what you really need to put it out. I think you have to come in level-headed. As a manager, when you want to make changes, you have to get the team input for a lot of those changes, but you have to have your administration's input also. I used to tell my director, it's my job to make sure we're doing it right. And if we're doing it right, we got your back. And it's my job to be sure that your back is covered, because I should know what the rules and the standards are. We should know how to do it right. So navigating the road that is really, really thin and crooked of leadership when you're a manager is hard. But I learned through a lot of hard knocks and a lot of knockdowns that, as Dr. Jake would say, there is a kinder, gentler way to do it. But at the end of the day, you must stand on your integrity, because what you do matters. And you hear me say it all the time, because you impact a patient's life. You cannot afford to do something wrong. You have to do it right, and you have to stand on what's right. Now, how you get to that stand is a little hard to do. But everybody has to find their own way. You can't be a Sharon Golden. I am who I am, and I got to be who I am through a lot of knockdowns and get-ups. But the one thing that was always factual and true, they knew that Sharon Golden was not going to tell you a lie. Sharon Golden was standing on what was right, and Sharon Golden wanted her team to be the best. I only wanted my team to do what was right and be the best. I was the biggest cheerleader for my team, And if my team shined, I didn't have to worry about shining. It wasn't about me.
Good. That is good. And it's obvious, because well after your actual heavy working career, you're one of the most sought after international subject matter experts for sterile processing, because that integrity leaves clues, it leaves crumbs. And you can cut corners and get to where you want to go, but eventually you're not going to have anywhere to go, because that type of living is short-lived. And then what I will leave you all with is, obviously the word of the day is integrity. And going to school, you kind of figure out that everything has to define things. And so we look at integrity. It has two main meanings. It refers to the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. And it also describes the state of being whole, unimpaired, or undivided. A person with integrity consistently acts in accordance with their ethical values, while a structure with integrity is complete and sound. We talk about moral character. This meaning describes a person's steadfast adherence to a code of strong moral and ethical principles. We talk about truthfulness. It is the individuals with integrity that are honest and trustworthy, acting in a way that aligns with their words and beliefs. It's an uncompromising value. But let me stop here and say this. With a person that has high integrity, there will be rooms you will never be allowed to get into, and you have to be okay with that. If you are a person with high integrity, unwavering integrity, you have to be okay with knowing there are certain circles and certain rooms you will not be allowed in. And you have to be okay with that. If you can live with that, I promise you, you'll have a life that is a lot more peaceful than you can imagine. If you can't live with that, you will find your way in rooms, wheeling and dealing, but you won't be at peace with yourself. And then the last thing I want to leave you with is, when you talk about moral code, you have to identify that that person has the same moral code as you, because they could have came up with a moral code that said by any means necessary. And you may have come up with a moral code that said any means necessary, that's within the right parameters to do anything that you put in your mind to. Those are two separate moral codes. Both have standards that they truly believe in, that they were bred in, but they do not mix or get along. So make sure the person that's standing beside you, that's standing in front of you, that's standing behind you, make sure the people you're confiding in and even calling friends in the workplace actually have the same moral code that you do, because you may find yourself at the end of a sword that you thought you both were wielding. This is SPD 911 with Dr. Jake Taylor Jacobs, Sharon Green Golden, and Derek Jones Sr. And we're so happy that you plugged in. We cannot wait to talk to you next week. Well, remember, the word of the week is integrity. But the thing we want you to watch for is to see if the people that are around you in your life or in your workspace are actually having the same moral code that you operate on. Peace. We love you. There's nothing you can do about it.
SPD 911 isn't just a show. It's your emergency response team for sterile processing. Having a diverse organization, people make the mistake in trying to make everyone the same.
SPD 911, we stand.
Yeah, you're asking for a pay raise every year.
Heard the story